Greetings all, and welcome to a very special presentation that you likely haven't seen the likes of ever before. I am Professor Wormwood, and joined with ThePhantomMichael, we would like to introduce you to a world that is both new and exciting, and yet could very well be quite familiar to some.
I would like to say it is a great pleasure to be here to assist Professor Wormwood and congratulate him on the start of this new exciting series.
So, throughout the mainland series of Pokemon games, as well as the spin-offs, we have been exposed to many different regions across the world, some based on real places, and others nothing specific. But have you ever wondered to yourself, what kinds of Pokemon could likely be found right in your backyard? The two of us certainly did, and instead of merely postulating the idea, we decided to do something about it. At least for the country that we both share, the United States of America, one bit at a time. This is the first, and hopefully only the beginning, of a special series of videos where we will take the world of Pokemon from the land of video games straight into your yard. In short, it is the aim of this project to examine each of the 50 states that currently exist in the country and give a strong look over what types of Pokemon would be best suited to live there. So, one and all, we welcome you to the Pokemon USA cross-country adventure. And in today's video, we are going to be covering the state of Florida.
If you haven't guessed why I'm here, then I would like to start by saying Florida is my home state. I have lived in both South Florida and North Florida. I have explored the far stretches of the Everglades and spent many warm summer days at the beach. I have withstood many hurricanes and roaring thunderstorms. As a child, playing with Florida wildlife was a passion. I think that's why I connected so well with the world of Pokemon. I have a deep love and respect for the creatures that inhabit my state.
Now, before we get started, it's important to make clear distinctions regarding what types of Pokemon can and cannot be included when trying to determine which ones are likely to be found in each state. First of all, if a Pokemon is based on a real-life type of creature, and that real-world example is natively found in that state, then they are definitely included in the state Pokédex. Conversely, if they are not native to that area, they are not to be included. If a Pokemon is known for being of major assistance to an industry or type of organization that is prevalent in a state, then they are also included in the state Pokédex, as it would make sense that some would likely escape into the wild at some point and start to populate the area. This is especially the case in many mechanical Pokemon that are normally found in places such as power plants or factories. Pokemon that could be kept as pets are not to be included, as they are unlikely to be found in the wild. Pets are pets for a reason, as they are domesticated and may not actually be fit for survival outside the confines of a domestic environment. This especially applies to many feline and canine Pokemon, them being very common as household pets. Zoos are also obviously not to be included, as they are intentionally designed to show exotic animals that do not normally populate the local environment. However, ranches, reserves, and preserves are counted in, as the Pokemon located there are born, raised, and allowed to freely populate the small area of land they occupy, making them akin to safari zones from the main series games. Lastly, it will be noted that even if a Pokemon does not have a specific type of creature it is based off of that might fit in the state environment, if they can be connected to other aspects of the state, such as history and local climate, they can be included.
With that being said, let's get to the data. After carefully looking over and analyzing the native wildlife of the world of Pokemon and the state of Florida, we have come down to a state Pokédex that includes 332 species. Honestly, I was personally both surprised by the large number and not surprised given the environments in the state. But we'll get to that later. With this number, let's take a look at the actual food web in place in this state, and how it breaks down from the top to the bottom.
In looking at all the different types of Pokemon that can be found in the state of Florida, as a whole, it is quite apparent that the state has a very diverse array of Pokemon that call it home. In fact, it's got something from every single elemental type known, even if just one type has only a single representative. I'm looking at you, ice types in your cloister. And this makes perfect sense if you look at the geography and real-life ecology of the state. While the overall climate of the state is quite warm and ranges from subtropical to tropical, it is much more temperate in the northern part of the state compared to the south, and is more of a forested land than the swampy parts of the south, especially the Florida Keys, which opens up the doorway to multiple types of environments for Pokemon to develop within. The combination of forest, freshwater, and saltwater environments with beaches, lagoons, and other watershed environments helps to support the exceptional diversity found in the state, while giving land that many creatures can call home that few, if any other state, could ever provide, at least as efficiently. Aside from just the environmental factors, the diversity of the area is duly reflected in the organisms themselves, with creatures from all ends of the animal, plant, and fungi kingdoms present in a startling display of variety that I would predict is likely not going to be seen in many other natural landscapes in the United States. This is helped out by the animal reserves that can be found in the state, as well as the choice to raise and introduce some of these creatures into the wild from elsewhere, and as a whole, the diversity of Florida is quite vast, as even we were not aware of just how diverse it actually was before we took a closer look at it. However, in creating a Pokédex for the state of Florida, there was something discovered that, given certain parameters, could be a disaster for the ecology of the area. After we assembled the Pokédex, we took a look at the primary diet of every single type of Pokémon that we had assigned to the state, dividing them into several categories, including primary predatory carnivores, herbivores, plant and fungi, omnivores, non-feeders, meaning that they do not require traditional food to survive, specialty or otherwise abnormal diets, and unknowns. We did this because we wanted to take a look at several different variables, namely the number of Pokemon that could be assigned to each of these categories, so we had an idea of how large each general tier on the food web was at a glance, the number of them that could count likely as prey for other creatures at tiers within their own tier or above, and the ratio of these versus the total number in each category to see just how the system worked in favor of each tier. And the results? Well, we will show you the data table with these results, and show why the ecology of the state might seemingly be in jeopardy. We can see clearly that the ecosystem is skewed heavily in favor of primary carnivores, and much lighter at the bottom end of the food chain with everything else, plants and fungi especially. Now, this isn't incredibly alarming in the case of plants and fungi, as those can be substituted for berries and the like without disturbing the food web all that much. What is a problem, however, is that the ratio between the number of different Pokemon present in the uppermost category is heavily skewed in favor of those that are not really prey to anything significant themselves. This is bad, because it means that there is a large population of creatures in the carnivore and omnivore groups that don't readily serve as food for others, which in turn puts more pressure on the other groups. And granted, it is true that if you so wished to, you could make an assumption that the lack of variety could be made up with large population numbers, and this definitely does apply to young bug-type Pokemon, as they are indeed known for existing in very large numbers in the wild. However, say for example that some sort of disease or climate change came along, and some of those lower members were especially vulnerable to it and were rendered extinct in the area. Because the food web is so top-heavy, the effects that will be felt upwards will be disproportionately skewed in such a way as to magnify the loss. A bunch of predators that feed on the same limited resources are put in jeopardy if a larger population of that base is taken out than the rest of the web can support. While the variety is high enough in most of the important categories for the food web that this might not be a problem if 1 or 2 Pokemon families are taken out of the equation from the higher tiers, it nonetheless does not paint a picture of an extremely stable ecological state. However, with all of this said, there is actually a simple way to stabilize it all and render these issues much less severe in the long run, though it might require a bit of a leap in logic to make it work. In short, from what we have determined, the easiest way to stabilize the ecology of the state and match the thriving natural environments that Florida is known for, in our professional opinion, is to include all real-world animals that exist in the state with Pokemon. I know that might sound crazy, but in all honesty, if you compare the Pokemon world with the real world and look at the different species that exist between the two, the disparity in numbers is incredible. We have much more extreme variety on Earth because of the seemingly limitless ways in which life can adapt to the environment it is placed in, and that diversity helps to protect life and lineages from going completely extinct if something changes, among other reasons. To include Pokemon into this picture isn't that hard, seeing as you're only injecting around 1,000 species, give or take whatever generation is active when you look at this analysis. And given that they occupy many of the niches that similar life forms occupy already, even just substituting them in doesn't change things that radically in the grand scheme of things. So if we make this assumption that there are real-world animals filling in the gaps where the food web and overall ecology might be lacking in protection against ecological change, then hypothetically speaking, there should be a greater balance to everything and the state's ecosystems should be stable.
With all this said, there are still some things to ponder outside of just the Florida Pokédex itself. We took a further look at Florida and decided to see what it would be like if it actually functioned as a region, and what other interesting surprises could be found there. But, for that, you'll have to check out the companion video over on ThePhantomMichael's channel. Look for it soon and see what else we believe can be found in the unique and exciting state of Florida. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always a pleasure to help teach others about the world of Pokemon and the many facets of it that exist in both the world we call home and the world they call home. If you'd like, please leave a comment and subscribe and ring the bell to this channel to get regular updates on content and anything else that might be going on. You can find me and my written work on DeviantArt under the name Utitus, and be informed of information and content uploads on my Twitter page and my Patreon page. Donations are always welcome. Always remember, the world of Pokemon is a vast and varied place, and there's no telling what secrets might be hiding just around the corner. So keep watch, stay vigilant, and always prepare for the unexpected. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day.